Billy Butcher and his team are used to hunting gods in capes, but their main advantage is that Vought Supes are just spoiled actors. What if they went up against other evil geniuses instead? I've analyzed which of the smartest villains in history could stand against them and who couldn't. Of course, assuming they would actually have to face each other. And if you like our videos, please give it a like or a hype. Thanks in advance. But as usual, before we begin, a quick rundown of the tier list. S tier, complete annihilation. The Untouchables. They will bend the rules of this universe to their will and erase the boys from reality before Butcher even has time to swear. Tier A, geniuses win. They are simply too smart. They will adapt perfectly to Vought, find all the weaknesses of Butcher's team, and force them to kill each other, or rot in prison. B tier, bloody bath. The boys will reach their goal, but it will be a stalemate, where Butcher's team loses half its members. C tier, the boys win. These schemers are too theatrical. The boys will simply shatter their performances with radical force, hack them, and destroy their lives. D tier, cakewalk. Butcher will simply crush them. They aren't ready for a world of superpowers and ultraviolence. Pure half measures. And before we start, one important point. In this analysis, I moved all the evil geniuses into the boys' territory, not the other way around. I think that's fair.
No. Look, we can handle this ourselves, all right?
Let's start with Petyr Baelish. Now, you're probably wondering, why did you even put Littlefinger on this list? Allow me to explain. Littlefinger is used to feeling like a god of intrigue. In Westeros, chaos is a ladder because the lords are bound by codes of honor and are too emotional. He whispers in ears, bribes guards, and builds brothels. All his power rests on one foundation. His victims value their reputation, but we move him to the world of the boys, and that foundation crumbles to dust. Butcher has no reputation to destroy. He has nothing to lose in a social sense. He burned all those bridges long ago. Littlefinger will try to open a shadow business, start gathering dirt. The problem is, Billy Butcher doesn't give a damn about dirt. If Littlefinger tries to weave an intrigue and hire ordinary hitmen, Butcher will just take Temp V. Can you imagine Baelish's face when the man he put a hit on smashes through a brick wall and burns his security with eye lasers? Baelish has no technology, no immunity to corporate espionage. Frankie will hack his offshore accounts in 5 minutes. Butcher will just kick in the door and break his neck without waiting for the start of a clever monologue. And while Petyr should not be underestimated, his medieval intrigues here would amount to nothing more than a pathetic whimper. D tier, and that's being generous.
Some boys develop more slowly. He has other gifts.
Does he?
The gift of a great name.
Now, let's move on to a true corporate devil. If you thought Stan Edgar was a problem for the boys, Lex Luthor is Stan Edgar with the intellect of a god and resources capable of buying Vought whole. Luthor has spent his entire life dedicated to destroying a being far stronger than Homelander, Superman. In the world of the boys, Lex Luthor won't play hide and seek. He'll initiate a hostile takeover of Vought International in the very first month. He'll create technology that blocks compound V in a Supes' blood at the molecular level. Butcher tries to attack. Lex Luthor will see the boys' team from his satellite before they even get into their van. He has exosuits capable of withstanding a nuclear blast. He will isolate the boys from the CIA, zero out their accounts, and declare them the world's #1 terrorists. Frenchie might be a genius, but his hacking tricks are child's play compared to Lex's AI systems. The boys won't even make it to his office. Luthor will simply delete them from reality like a software error in an annual report. The difference between Luthor and the others on this list is that he works within human institutions and destroys them from within. The boys know how to fight Supes. Against a corporate god with limitless resources and foresight, 3 moves ahead, they don't just lack tactics. They lack the very possibility of tactics. The only person on this list deserving of S tier, not for magic, but for pure intellect.
You don't have to use a silver bullet, but if you forge one, well then, we don't have to depend upon the kindness of monsters.
Now, the Joker. This one is actually very, very tricky. We are clashing absolute entropy with a team that broke its moral compass long ago. The Joker always wins in Gotham psychologically because Batman plays by the rules. But what will the Joker do with Billy Butcher? Butcher has already fallen. If the Joker takes hostages and says, "Butcher, choose who dies," Butcher won't agonize over it. He'll just shoot the Joker in the face without even listening to the terms of the game. Joker's philosophy shatters against a man who doesn't care about morality. However, the Joker is a genius at creating chaos. While the boys hunt him, he'll rig the entire city with explosives. He'll find a way to pit the boys against Homelander just to watch the explosion. The Joker is the only villain on this list who doesn't need to win. He needs fire. And in the world of the boys, he'll find so much fuel, he won't have time to burn it all. Butcher will kill him. I'm sure of it. But the Joker will take half the team with him in that bloody chaos. He'll turn their mission into a hellish meat grinder where only the most disfigured survive. This is B tier, not because the Joker is weak, but because Butcher is just broken enough to pull the trigger first.
And I won't kill you, because you're just too much fun.
Now we move to true intellectual dominance. Standartenführer Hans Landa. This man is a true prophet in the world of investigators. Let's move Landa to the world of the boys and give him a position in the CIA or Vought's security department. All of Butcher's success is built on hiding in the shadows that clean Supes don't notice. Landa won't run after the boys with a machine gun. He'll calculate their location based on the slightest inconsistencies in their covers. He'll come to Huey, offer him a strudel, and after 5 minutes of polite conversation, Huey will spill everything without even realizing it. Landa is a master of psychological terror under a mask of hospitality. He'll lure the team into a trap where it's not an ambush waiting for them, but checkmate. He'll destroy their structure from the within, pitting them against each other and using their fears. And here's the scariest part. Landa doesn't want to destroy the boys on principle. He's just solving a puzzle. He might hand them over to Vought, he might hand Vought over to them, or he might sell the info to a third party. His loyalty is sold to whoever makes the best offer. Against Landa's perceptiveness, Butcher simply has no defense, because Landa knows how to listen to the silence. A confident A tier.
I love rumors. Facts can be so misleading. Were rumors true or false are often revealing.
Next is James Moriarty, an intellectual terrorist. He calls himself a consulting criminal, and here I have something that might surprise you, because most people underestimate Moriarty exactly the way the boys themselves would. Yes, Moriarty is an infantile personality. Yes, he needs a show, riddles, phone calls, and a final dialogue on a rooftop. Billy Butcher will never play those games. He's not Sherlock. He's not attracted to intellectual excitement. The boys will simply track the signal through Frenchie's resources, and while Moriarty is waiting to make a grand entrance, the building will blow up. But here's the mistake, thinking Moriarty is equal to his riddles. Moriarty, in the world of the boys, won't call Butcher. He'll quietly enter the criminal infrastructure that exists in Vought's shadow. He'll create an anonymous network of several hundred operatives, each of whom only knows their own link in the chain. The boys will be hunting decoys and killing the wrong people. They'll think they've destroyed the operation, while Moriarty simply launches the next layer. His real weapon isn't riddles. It's invisibility. And in a world where the boys are used to an enemy with a face, that's deadly. A tier, even though most viewers would put him in C and be wrong.
A couple of lines of computer code are going to crash the world around our ears. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in you.
Hannibal Lecter. Here I had to think long and hard, considering he works with the human psyche, and the boy's psyche is a ruin. Hannibal's power isn't in weapons, but in the profiling of souls. One meeting with Butcher would be enough for him to smell his untreated trauma. He wouldn't call the police. He would start slowly pouring the poison of doubt into their minds. Hannibal will destroy their team from the inside by making them doubt one another. He'll turn Huey into his puppet. He'll find the keys to Frenchie. The boys' team will simply fall apart under his quiet, polite pressure. Butcher will wake up one day to find his team is either dead or hates him. And the scariest thing about Hannibal, he's in no rush. He takes aesthetic pleasure in the process. While the boys look for an external enemy, the enemy will be sitting at a table set for 6, methodically removing each team member so elegantly that death will look like an accident. This is 100% team destruction without a single shot fired, an A tier that feels like an S. Moving on to Gustavo Fring, a genius of logistics and silence. Gus survived in New Mexico because he was the most cautious person in the world. If we move him to the world of the boys, he'll work alongside Stan Edgar or against him, which is even more dangerous. By nature, Gus is not the kind of man who rushes headfirst into danger. He'll figure out who supplies the boys with information. Fring will find their weak points through their loved ones. He'll create a situation where the boys think they are hunting him while they are walking straight into a trap. Gus will destroy them not with bullets, but with the system. He'll make them the #1 criminals on every news channel, freeze their accounts, and strip them of support. Gus Fring's only real vulnerability is his public visibility. For all his cold genius, discipline, and almost surgical caution, he was still too visible a figure. In Albuquerque, he was constantly within the DEA's field of vision, while also waging a hidden war against the Salamanca family. Gus survived not because he was invisible, he survived because he possessed a phenomenal ability to control how others perceived him. However, with Butcher, the strategy most likely would not work. Billy Butcher is not the kind of man who can be fooled by charity, politeness, or a perfect public facade. He does not operate by the rules of the system, but by the logic of paranoia, instinct, and violence. That is why, for Gus, a confrontation with Butcher would become a point of no return. Where the DEA needed evidence and the Salamancas needed strategy, Butcher would only need one suspicion. He would not wait, investigate, or play the long game. He would simply eliminate Gus at the first hint of a threat. That is why Gus only gets tier C, although he is extremely close to tier A.
I was told that the man I would be meeting with is very careful, a cautious man. I believe we're alike in that way.
Now, Grand Admiral Thrawn from Star Wars. Pure strategy. Thrawn is a man who studies the art of the enemy to understand their psychology. He'll learn everything about Butcher, from his habits to his deepest fears. Thrawn won't play hide and seek. He'll construct a tactical plan in which the boys won't have a single chance to maneuver. He'll outplay them so cleanly that they'll surrender themselves, realizing that every action they took was predicted a week ago. One specific scenario, Thrawn will study the fighting style of every team member, find everyone's personal triggers, and build a series of events that leads to Butcher and MM giving each other an ultimatum at a critical moment. Thrawn doesn't destroy teams. He creates the conditions where teams destroy themselves. Thrawn won't leave them a chance even for dirty play because he'll anticipate its probability in advance. Butcher simply won't be able to outsmart a man who thinks in terms of galactic wars. A tier, and he's the only opponent on the list for whom the boys wouldn't be a threat, but an interesting puzzle before breakfast.
What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who may oppose us.
Let's move to the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. I think it would be a dirty and very bloody fight. Fisk is incredibly smart and physically strong enough to crush a skull with his bare hands. The team would have to fight through hundreds of mercenaries. MM or Frenchie would likely take some bullets before Butcher met Fisk in hand-to-hand combat. But here's Fisk's problem. He's used to New York, where rules exist, even for the dirtiest players. He has the police bot, the judges bot, the media bot. Against the boys, who have no face and no fear of publicity, this system doesn't work. Butcher doesn't do press conferences. He just blows up the building. It's a battle of attrition where the boys will win, but the price will be too high. C tier, a victory, but a bitter one.
It's clear that I have put too great a burden on your shoulders.
Anton Chigurh, a meeting of two destructive forces. Chigurh is a rock that cannot be pressured. He doesn't need money. He doesn't care about threats. He doesn't negotiate. If he's given a contract on Butcher's team, he will follow them to the end, methodically and without emotion. Here is what's important to understand about Chigurh. He is incredibly smart tactically. He doesn't go head-on. He waits. He steadies. He appears the moment the victim feels safe. That's why the first encounter with the team will be a shock for the boys. They are used to Supes who either fly at you or disappear. Chigurh will just come to their house at 3 a.m. But here, a fatal error will catch him. Chigurh is used to killing ordinary people. If he comes for Kimiko, she won't die. He puts the captive bolt pistol to her head and fires. A normal person would die. And while Anton goes to wash his hands, Kimiko will just get up and run away. After this failure, Chigurh will adapt. He'll start working from a distance, sniper position, 1 kilometer range. It will be a brutal game of cat and mouse, a bloodbath where the boys win, but someone from the team won't return. B tier, Chigurh is the only one in the DC zone who will die with dignity.
If the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule?
Now, this would be a very interesting fight. Bane, intellect and brute force in one package, and in a proportion the boys haven't encountered yet. Most of the boys' physically strong opponents are either too narcissistic or too unstable. Bane is the complete opposite. He is disciplined to the point of clinical coldness. He broke Batman not just with a fist. He exhausted him psychologically first, destroyed his resource base, isolated his allies, and only then came for the meeting in person. In the world of the boys, Bane won't attack head-on. He'll start by cutting off the team's supply channels. Butcher's informants will start going silent or disappearing. Safe houses will become unsafe. By the time Butcher realizes who's behind it, Bane will already know everything he needs to know about every team member. The final meeting will be brutal. Bane is one of the few people without superpowers who can fight someone on temp fee and not break immediately. The boys will win, but it will be a Pyrrhic victory. B tier, and I would put him above the Joker for pure discipline.
I'll die before I talk.
How about your schedule, Captain?
Now, Pennywise. Now, you might laugh at me, that's just the clown from the sewer. But listen, Pennywise is an ancient being that feeds on fear. And the boys are a walking banquet. And although Pennywise prefers easy prey, such as children, if you disturb him, he will start taking revenge. Butcher is full of rage, but inside he's terrified of losing his family. Frenchie is afraid of his past and what he's capable of. Huey is afraid of everything in the world, and that's not a metaphor. For Pennywise, this is a buffet of living trauma. Pennywise will stand before them as a clown. He'll appear to Butcher as Becca. He'll appear to Frenchie as his victims. He'll pull them into a nightmare world where the laws of reality simply don't work and will methodically destroy their minds from within. The boys are experts on Supes who have physical weaknesses, but Pennywise lives in the space between fear and reality. And there, Butcher has no weapons and no plan. Butcher won't be able to take down something that lives inside his own head. In the end, the boys will still win. Fear can be overcome, especially if you are Billy Butcher with nothing to lose. But the price will be high, and at least one of the team will truly break. B tier, and it's the most unexpected B on the entire list.
This isn't real enough for you, Billy. I'm not real enough for you.
And last on our list, a lady who might be upset to find herself in such company. Although, honestly, she'd be the first to laugh about it. Harley Quinn is mad, unpredictable, and a great fighter. She could cause the boys a lot of trouble in back alleys, but in the end, she's a human without superpowers. If Butcher decides she's interfering with the job, he'll just shoot her with a sniper rifle from a kilometer away. Harley is used to Gotham, where heroes try not to kill you. Butcher is not Batman. He'll pull the trigger without a monologue. D tier, because in this world, madness without superpowers simply isn't competitive.
Something tells me a whole lot of people are about to die.
That's the final layout, guys. Write in the comments, who do you think was rated unfairly? Would Kimiko handle Chigurh, or would Thrawn find a way to flip the boys to his side after all? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell.